oh, the crypto rails are actually better for trading these traditional assets than the current rails that we have. So we're going to move over slowly.
We have this staking SDK. It's been quite attractive for different wallets, exchanges, UIs, UXs. As I mentioned, we're gearing up for a massive institutional push.
Of how you're doing. I think regulators are going to end up staking because they're going to look at it and say, wow, this gives me unbelievable transparency.
Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's video, I have so much juicy information for you guys today. We're going to be discussing and talking about strategies to partake in after the next bull market cycle. How can you keep, maintain, and grow and scale your wealth? Hold on to it, especially if you become a multi-thousandaire, multi-millionaire after the next bull market cycle. And then I'm also going to show you guys juicy videos that are never going to reach the mainstream, proving to you all that financial institutions are 110% coming to this digital asset space in a way, in a scale that we have never seen before. And they are 110% interested in DeFi and earning yield on their digital assets, which is, again, why I stress here on the CYPRX platforms that you should be taking into account that mindset switch from hodling my assets to, if I'm going to hodl my assets, how can I be earning yield on them, making and generating passive income with the digital assets that I hold right now? So stick around for the entirety of today's video breakdown. We got some really juicy, good, valuable material for you guys. I want to start here with this mainstream article because this just, again, shows that institutional interest is picking up at a rapid pace, which is going to coexist with every single video clip that I'm going to share with you guys today, proving to you all that financial institutions are coming. Now, this is a mainstream article, but the information that I'm going to share with you guys isn't so mainstream. Okay, so stick around. November 11, 2024, Bernstein urges investors to buy Bitcoin. $725 billion asset manager Bernstein has urged investors to join in on the Bitcoin bull market that has stemmed from Donald Trump's 2024 presidential election win. Indeed, the firm called on investors to add the leading crypto as soon as possible as it continues to skyrocket in value. Now, the only reason why I'm not telling you guys to go out there and buy Bitcoin at a freaking top, but we're not saying that it is the top, but this just goes to show that traditional financial institutions are 110% paying attention to what's happening in this space. And the institutional adoption is only going to pick up as we progress throughout the remainder of this year and heading into 2025 and beyond at a scale that we have never seen before. And I cannot stress enough that we are still early. Do not think that just because Bitcoin's sitting at $81,000 right now that you are late to the party. There are still altcoins right now that are going to perform very well in the next altcoin season that are over 75% discounted from just their all-time highs. That's not even talking and discussing about price discovery, which we'll get into a little bit about today. Okay, so now let's transition into DeFi. I want to get your brain juices flowing and just really think, what are you going to do to maintain and grow and scale your wealth after the next bull market cycle? After you pull profit, let's say you make $100,000, $500,000, $1 million, and you take that profit and you sell it for fiat or stable coins. How are you going to make and generate passive income without getting stuck back in the traditional financial system? Well, Mr. Aquaman, again, shout out to both of you guys if you guys are watching this, and if you don't know who they are, go give them a follow both on X and YouTube. They're always pumping out good, valuable information. Mr. Man reposted Mr. Aquaman's post talking about how you can earn 22% on stablecoins right now in the DeFi ecosystem. He said here, money making you money, put your assets to work, which is something that we stress on here on the CYPRX platform. Your digital assets can be earning you passive income now. And if you're a little bit skeptical about getting involved in DeFi, you can take an educational and a mature approach to enlighten yourself on what is possible. So that way, after the next bull market cycle, you learn and you know how to generate passive income with your assets, your digital assets, and not sell them for fiat to get stuck back in the traditional system. Okay. And again, that's something that we enlighten individuals on in the CYPRX Wealth 28 Club. Now, specifically, Mr. Aquaman said, maximize your profits, earning 22% yield with stable coins. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about before we get into the juicy video clips today, showing you guys that institutions are 110% going to be interested and are right now currently actively earning yield on their digital assets. That this is the mindset shift that you all need to take into account. All right. So I'm just going to use an example. This is not a bullish moon boy price prediction. This is just me and my personal portfolio discussing and talking about a strategy that I plan to partake in to consistently grow and maintain and scale my wealth after the next bull market cycle. So I'm going to be utilizing HBAR as an example. Personally, again, this is not a price prediction, so don't quote me on this, but I have over 1.2 million units of HBAR in my portfolio. HBAR is one of my biggest bags. I firmly believe in the future of HBAR, regardless if you do or not. That is in my personal portfolio and doesn't affect you. Now, let's just use that as an example. If HBAR does go to $1 this next bull market cycle, or even 50 cents for that matter, but let's just use $1 as an example. I personally plan on selling at least half of my HBAR. So I'll just use 1 million units of HBAR as an example. And let's say, for example, I sell half of that HBAR, that would be $500,000. Well, utilizing Mr. Aqua's post here and the platform that he just shared, not only publicly to you guys, but dove in detail to our private community on a private Zoom call, how you can earn 22% yield on stable coins. Okay. Let's shave 2% off of this and just go with 20%. All right. So back to my example. I've now sold after the next bull market cycle 500,000 units of HBAR, which are now worth $1. That would then mean that I have $500,000 of stablecoins because I don't plan on selling it back to fiat. So I would have about $500,000 of USDC, give or take, obviously, of course, after paying taxes, but let's not account for that in today's example. All right. Now, taking $500,000, again, this is a low ball, especially considering that there's going to be a lot of people that become multimillionaires. I can take that $500,000, I can deploy it into the DeFi ecosystem on a platform that is earning me 20%. Again, we're shaving off 2% from Mr. Aqua's example, where he showed you a platform you can earn 22%. But again, I'm going to lowball this example and use it as 20%. Well, on $500,000 per year on a 20% APY, you'd be looking at about $100,000. Now, take that yield. To get your monthly yield, you take that $100,000 and divide it by 12. I'd be looking at about around, give or take, $8,000 per month in passive income just off of DeFi stablecoins. Ladies and gentlemen, do you see how mind-blowing and revolutionary that is? Do you know how many people out there are going to fumble the ball after this next bull market cycle because they don't know that opportunities like this exist, because they're knocking DeFi or they think that it's a scam? Well, again, sit back and relax. I'm going to show you guys that traditional financial players are not only coming to this space in such a massive and granular way that we've never seen before in such a scale that is going to blow people's minds when billions of dollars really start flooding in, especially considering that the search for yield is starting to increase, considering that we are heading into a lower interest rate environment and will continue to do so over the next consecutive couple of months / years. But they are also, these traditional financial players, going to be looking and seeking for yield-bearing platforms, i.e. in the DeFi ecosystem, whether that's through ETF staking, so on and so forth. Now, in today's video breakdown, we're going to transition. I'm going to show you guys how this is materializing extremely well. So just take into consideration what I just showed you all. Why on earth would you want to sell $500,000 worth of your crypto after the next bull market cycle and go and buy a house with it, right? A house that you plan on renting out. Let's say, for example, a 3-bedroom house, which nowadays goes for anywhere between $300,000 to $500,000, depending on your location. So you're literally spending pretty much the majority of your profits, right? You're going to go and get that house, rent it out, and most likely only be making anywhere between, on a 3-bedroom house, I'd say about maybe $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000 max, depending on your location, and passive income after having gone through all the paperwork, the trouble, the headache of finding renters. You guys, if you're in real estate, know that process. And I'm not telling you guys to dodge real estate, but just think about it compared to staying and remaining in the digital realm of things. All I had to do with my $500,000 is find a audited platform, a reputable platform that offers yield, whether it's 10%, 15%, 20%, which is possible in DeFi right now. Take my liquid capital, that $500,000 of stablecoins, and simply just go and deploy it onto this platform. And boom, right there and then in a matter of seconds, I start generating yield. No paperwork, no headache, no finding tenants. None of that bull crap getting stuck back in the traditional realm of investing, and instead digitally investing this capital. Again, I cannot stress enough that now is the time to wake up and transition that mindset, which we're going to get into in today's video breakdown, from HODL, from traditional finance over into this new digital economy that we are 110% heading into. All right. So now let's transition. Let's share some video clips. We're going to go back to back to back and just go through these videos, all institutional investors, all reputable individuals. I'm not going to break down all their credentials because it would take too much time to add to this video. And we're already almost at 10 minutes. But I want to prove to you guys that this information is not coming from me. This information is coming from individuals that are telling you all that this stuff is happening. So here, this is an individual representative from an institutional standpoint that goes on to talk about how TradFi is coming to DeFi. Take a second here and just listen to what this gentleman has to say.
Yeah, I would like to start with a qualitative comment. So when we started investing in DeFi, I felt there was still a big question mark on how to tease the future and how to think about use cases. And I'm a big fan of partnerships. And what happened over the last few years, and I would say has significantly picked up over the last year, is an alignment across many different, if you will, parties from the banking side, from the, let's say, startup side. The regulators started chipping in, trying to frame a better picture of the future. And if I just think about DeFi, I very much, given our background, think about how to provide liquidity. And what has happened over the last 2 years predominantly is that there is a high degree of understanding that we need to move liquidity from the TradFi side into the DeFi side.
Boom, right? So he literally just openly admitted that there has been a huge shift of bringing liquidity from the TradFi side into the DeFi side, which just goes to show and back what it is that I'm saying, that over the next consecutive couple of years, just go look at the TVL locked in DeFi right now on DeFi Llama. It's minuscule compared to what is about to happen. Looking back 5 years from now, people, the TVL and the DeFi is probably going to surpass $400 to $600 billion, in my personal opinion. And that is a low ball, honest to God. Okay. So take that into consideration, the opportunity that we have, not only in the now to capitalize on DeFi opportunities, but even if you don't want to and you're skeptical, take time to learn and educate yourself. Go through our course, go to CYPRXtrading.com, join the Wealth 28 Club, and go through the video content and the material that we offer you guys to learn about and educate yourself about this stuff. So that way you're awake and aware to what is happening, because this is such a massive opportunity. Moving on. So you guys heard him talk about TradFi coming to DeFi. Now let's get into this gentleman talking about how there is an institutional push happening right now, but then we're going to revert back to something else he says about the mindset shift that people need to have. So just take a second here and listen. I'm going to play these videos back to back.
I would say at least 10% of Bitcoin liquidity and market cap is access to DeFi. And on the Lombard front, what we're going to continue to do is provide additional paths through distribution. We have this staking SDK. It's been quite attractive for different wallets, exchanges, UIs, UXs. As I mentioned, we're gearing up for a massive institutional push. So where we'll be in a year exactly, I am not sure.
Just like you heard him say, staking, DeFi solutions. He's particularly talking about Bitcoin, which is going to be massive, adding utility to Bitcoin via DeFi solutions. But he said they are gearing up for an institutional push. People, this is from 5 days ago. This video I'm sharing with you all has 956 views. There are millions of people in crypto and billions of people on this earth, and this video I'm sharing with you all has less than 1,000 views. Come on now, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. You all heard it directly from his mouth. They are gearing up for an institutional push. Now, back to talking about the mindset shift that needs to take place. Listen to this gentleman explain in detail what needs to happen, and this is a perspective that I hold dear to my heart, because everybody since the bear market started roughly in around 2021 November. Because of everything and the traumatic experience that we've seen over the past consecutive couple of months / years, everybody's been stuck in this HODL mindset, right? Protect my capital, put it in cold storage, don't touch it, just wait it out. No, right now, now's the time to grow. Now's the time to expand. Now's the time to take our assets and get them working for us. So listen to this gentleman, which again, he has many more credentials than I myself, sit on stage in front of probably institutional investors, regulators, blockchain native organizations, talk about this mindset shift that we need to have. Take a second here and listen.
And the last is mindset. Going from a store of value to a financial ecosystem, that is a mind change that we need to make. Being able to use your BTC, borrow, lend, yield, earn, and engage with it in some way, that is something that 46.5 million unique wallets and individuals that exist today in this ecosystem have to go through. And that's how we go from 46 to 100, and from 100 to 500, and 500 to a billion users in this ecosystem.
And so that just, again, shows you all that right now we are in the transformation phase where everybody's mindsets have been this hodl mindset, and they need to start shifting. TradFi is going to start to make a shift over to blockchain and crypto rails very slowly as they start to realize that they are much better than traditional financial rails. Take a second here and listen.
And so what is the value of DeFi today relative to what people perceive the value of DeFi might have been 3 years ago? Well, the value is that it's actually easier and faster and better to build financial products on a DeFi stack than it is to build it on the old traditional financial stack that was built over the last 50 years. And that's why you're seeing major banks, major PBs start to build things like tokenized money market funds. Because they see this and they say, oh, the crypto rails are actually better for trading these traditional assets than the current rails that we have. So we're going to move over slowly.
Now that goes hand in hand with what this individual representative from Franklin Templeton said on stage at SmartCon just a couple of days ago. Take a second here and listen.
You know, we have a lot of topics to cover, so let's jump in. So Andrew, what do you feel are the market forces that are leading to adoption by asset managers of fund tokenization?
Yeah, good question, Sergey. So I think there's been a big transformation this year with the bifurcation of crypto and blockchain. And you know, crypto is the main asset that sits on a blockchain-based recording system or record-keeping system. What we see is now a lot more people are seeing the benefits, whether it be cost, efficiency, transparency, interconnectedness of operating on a blockchain-based system with a single ledger, and we see that's really driving, will drive the industry in the next 12 months and beyond very quickly.
So you feel it's the efficiency gains from putting a fund structure on a chain?
Yeah, I mean, we did a study where on the traditional way that we record a transaction, it cost us about $1 to do that. So for us to do 50,000 transactions on a traditional rail costs $50,000. 50,000 transactions that we've done on the Stellar network has cost us $120. So there is a huge cost saving, but then that cost saving also leads to efficiencies in the sense that you don't have to do the reconciliation of multiple ledgers, you don't have to remediate issues, everyone gets the same information synchronously. Yeah, so it's a real cost that we can identify the actual saving, and then these other benefits. We spend about $200 million a year on remediation and reconciliation. If we can move all the 1.7 trillion of our assets, currently we have about 500 million. If we can move that all onto blockchain, we will save $200 million, excluding the transaction costs, which will be 0.0025 of what they are today. So yeah, it's huge. It's just.
He literally just said it's huge, and he said if we can move $1.7 trillion of our money over into blockchain. Do you understand how massive that is that he even said that? Okay, like 3 years ago, for a financial institution to have said this would have been unseen, unheard of. Now the landscape is changing. That's why I'm attempting to show you guys this, because again, 9 days ago, this video was posted, barely has 3,000 views. There's millions of people in crypto and billions of people on this earth. This opportunity is massive, and people are not paying attention to this juicy information. This is such a monumental video clip right here, again, from a large asset manager like Franklin Templeton, which is going to play an important role once we get into the staking portion and how institutions are 100% paying attention to this stuff. Remember, this individual is from Franklin Templeton talking about bringing $1.7 trillion over to the blockchain. You understand? Okay, so that's why when I just said, you guys, 400 billion to 600 billion TVL locked in DeFi is peanuts compared to what's about to come. So here is another video clip of a reputable individual talking about TradFi emerging into DeFi and how the DeFi ecosystem is maturing enough to actually, handle and take on TradFi. Take a second here and just listen.
Office and mid-office systems work, because that is essentially the plumbing that our existing market infrastructure relies upon. And I had to learn that, which to me was a very enriching experience. And now, just for the audiences, I call it in stealth mode, but I firmly believe that the industry itself is emerging. So DeFi crypto industry for the past 15 years of its evolution has gone to a point that it's big enough, and it began to intersect with the traditional finance. And that intersection today is seen at the instrument class, which is ETFs and some level of wrappers that come into the traditional finance to provide the comfort level that traditional finance needs from its prudential treatment of assets and fiduciary responsibilities as banks have. But I believe there's a lot more to happen in the space, which is why I'm hoping to discuss that today, both in terms of what Paul, me, and you have discussed for hours at times as to what that infrastructure should look like, But also, I think
So just long story short, he's talking about traditional finance, how the DeFi ecosystem has matured, and it's starting to take on traditional financial players by offering solutions in the DeFi ecosystem through these ETFs, which is, again, pay attention to detail, going to play an important role, particularly looking at and into the ETF side of things. Listen to what the CEO of Franklin Templeton says here about how they are utilizing staking, okay? Take into consideration DeFi, how through DeFi you can earn yield on your digital assets. And now I'm physically showing you guys examples of financial institutions on stage, reputable people saying that they're coming. They're considering putting $1.7 trillion of assets onto the blockchain. And now you have the CEO of Franklin Templeton confirming staking. And she goes on to say that regulators are going to be interested in staking, which is, again, why you as individuals should be interested in earning yield on your digital assets. This information, nobody on the internet is sharing this with you guys. Only here at CYPRX are we giving you guys this juice. Check this out. This video is from 2 months ago and only has 429 views. Take a second here and listen to what the CEO of Franklin Templeton says.
You touched on is the fact that you guys don't outsource most activities within the firm. You try to build when it's possible and makes sense. You try to build yourself. And Franklin Templeton, I think people don't, or at least I didn't have a full understanding of this before we prepared for this conversation around everything you guys are building. You know, you're building wallet infrastructure, you're building a transfer agency infrastructure, and you're running node operations, and you're participating in staking. Could you just talk about the full breadth of what you guys are building there at Franklin Templeton across your digital asset activities?
Sure. And actually, I'd correct you. My view is you should outsource it if it's essentially a commodity. The reason we ran our own transfer agency system historically is Templeton was really the first global investment management firm. And we were in all these markets that the service providers weren't in. And so we had to run and build the capabilities there. And so we ended up building this huge infrastructure. We have now actually made the decision to outsource that recently because honestly, the service providers have now caught up on that. However, when you come into the digital asset space, when we were first looking to launch the tokenized money market fund, there weren't service providers out there. So we said, okay, we need to build this. And then as I mentioned earlier on staking, look, I think if you're going to be participating in the space, people are going to have to be staking. It's going to be part of how you're doing. I think regulators are going to end up staking because they're going to look at it and say, wow, this gives me unbelievable transparency into the transactions. If I need to regulate, the best way to do it would be to be staking on these platforms.
So that's not me telling you guys that you should be earning yield. She literally just said, if you're going to come into this space, you should be considering staking, earning yield on your digital assets by securing a blockchain. You like that, again, coming from a financial institution is so massive. So back to Franklin Templeton, last video clip I'm going to play to confirm all of this is happening right before your very eyes and nobody's paying attention to it. Back to the Franklin Templeton representative. Listen to what he says here about having stable coins, considering the scenario that I gave you guys to start off this video breakdown about how I plan on selling. Again, and that's such a small amount of my portfolio. If my portfolio even does a 10x, I will have a lot more than $500,000 to deploy into stable coins earning me yield. But I just utilize that as an example. $500,000 making me about $8,000 in passive income per month just off of a 20% APY. Okay. Listen to what the Franklin Templeton representative says here about earning yield on your stable coins and how that should be something that everybody has access to. Just take a second here and listen. This is going to blow your mind. If you've made it this far, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. If you're new here, go back and watch our yield generation playlist on the CYPRX platform. You can go click on the CYPRX YouTube, click playlist, and watch all the videos in the yield platform and the yield playlist. It's going to blow your mind as to what's happening and probably fill you in, especially if this is your first time watching stuff like this, that this is all even possible. So just take a second here and listen.
Know if the new generation of investors is going to follow the same patterns as the past generation.
Right.
And I think
they're more inclined towards crypto.
Well, I think they've got more information. There's no information asymmetry. You can get a lot more information now from the web than you didn't have to go to the advisor. And then we see things like machine learning and AI coming in, which will give you more advice. So we see that for us to survive and prosper, we've got to meet the new market where it wants to be, and it wants to. We operate 9-to-5 businesses. We have to transform ourselves so we can operate in a 24/7 business, which is where you have to operate on chain. And I think from our perspective, we see 99% of the TVL is locked in stable coins, NFTs and cryptocurrencies. There's no reason why people can't have actively managed, professionally managed funds made available to them.
Available to that user base. Yeah.
We think that's we're working with we will do the first listed tokenized fund on a exchange here in Hong Kong. And we think that's giving, we don't see that stablecoins are a good proposition, that you give someone your money and they don't give you yield, because effectively inflation means that your purchasing power is less. So we just think fundamentally, if you don't want to speculate, if you want to risk off and park your money, you should earn the yield that, so your money is at least worth the same amount, with the inflation. We just think that's a valuable proposition for investors, and that should be made available on chain. And it's not today.
And it's more.
Boom. He literally just said that's a freaking valued proposition, and it should be made available to investors. That just goes to prove everything that I just shared with you guys. Again, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Always bringing you all the realest information. We don't wake up here at CYPRX and we're like, oh, we should just go tell people to earn yield on their digital assets just because, blah, blah. No, this is coming from an institutional perspective. And when you understand the power of that and how that is shifting, remember to revert back to the gentleman that talked about the mindset shift. You have been manipulated. I promise to God, you have been manipulated through YouTube, through Twitter, through Reddit, through whatever mainstream articles and fundamentals you've been reading for the past 3 years since the bear market started, to have this hodl mindset. It is time to transform. It is time to shift. It is time to wake up and figure out how you're going to not only grow your wealth in the now, but also maintain and grow your wealth after the next bull market cycle. In DeFi, again, it's not the only solution. It is one of the many solutions and the approaches that you can take to scaling and keeping and maintaining your digital wealth after this next bull market cycle. Man, this stuff gets me so juiced up and so excited because people just are sleeping on this stuff. Anyway, shout out to you all for tapping into the CYPRX platform today. If you're new here, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe if you enjoyed this video breakdown. Many blessings to you guys. And as always, be cognizant, be aware out there. Make sure that you go head over to the X space. Follow me on X at C_Core. We're going to be having loads of discounts for Black Friday coming up that you can utilize on the CYPRX trading website. So go check that out. If you've made it this far, you deserve to hear that. I forgot to add that at the beginning of the video breakdown, but go over to CYPRXtrading.com, head over to the X space and follow me on X so that way you guys can get the juice on all the discounts that you can utilize on the CYPRX trading platform. With that being said, many blessings, you guys. As always, be cognizant, be aware out there. None of this is financial advice. I'm just showing you guys the juice, the real juice that nobody else on the internet for some odd reason wants to show you. But we will here at CYPRX. We'll continue to keep this flow of information going and moving forward. As always, I'll see you all in the next video breakdown.